Hello, writers. Come write with me. My name is Michaela Greenwood. I create worlds for mind adventures. Welcome to my channel, Write with Michaela. I'm very excited to have you on my channels. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell so you can go on this journey with me. We can take this journey together. Okay, before we get started, this is one of my Christmas presents. This is a dragon. It's a pet dragon that you get from the Renaissance. They asked me, like, what did you name him? I haven't named him yet. So if you have a name you think he should be, then you can leave that in the comments. This is not Stygerguard, obviously, because he is not white and his eyes are not pink. Today is story time, or the day of our chapter exchange. If you're writing with me and you wish to exchange chapters, then send your chapter with written permission to writewithmichaela@gmail.com. I will post the email address at the bottom of the video and in the description at the end of the video and at the bottom in the description below. Looking forward to reading your chapters. All chapters are writing prompts read on the channel, whether they are mine or another writer's work, are copyright protected material, and no one may use any part in writing their own stories. This story is PG-13, so if you're 13 years of age, you need parental guidance. This story is in its rough draft stage, just as the last stories and the writing prompts that we've heard. Title of the story is Princess Emnorawyn Stygerguard. And today we are reading chapter 31. If you would like to read along, then send to the email I stated earlier and request a PDF of the chapter. Make sure you are specific. Now let's start. Princess Emnorawyn Stygerguard, chapter 31, The Source. That night, Princess Emnorawyn wanted to take Stygerguard out and get close to the fortresses of the two kings, King Zagerman and King Balbatos. Since she had learned or realized her magic, it was much easier to put on her own armor and to put the riding gear on Stygerguard without help. As she was doing this, Kalaisha ran in the last chamber and said, "You can't go yet." Princess Emnorawyn said, "I have to get closer to release my magical ball." Then she looked up as Prince Hadley entered the chamber. "It took me some time to get in my armor," said Prince Hadley. "The young lady said I had to hurry." Princess Emnorawyn sighed to herself as she looked at Kalaisha. "The magic told me you were leaving," said Kalaisha. Princess Emnorawyn smiled and asked, "Did you instruct your magic to keep tabs on me?" "Well, not intentionally," replied Kalaisha. Princess Emnorawyn looked at Prince Hadley. "Well, I guess it is right that you go, because it was your idea. And we will just take Stygerguard. That way I can make us invisible. Or at least I think I can." Prince Hadley nodded. He looked at Kalaisha. "Now you need to go back to your parents and get a good night's sleep. We will be fine. Don't worry." They mounted and flew out. Princess Emnorawyn thought to Stygerguard what she wanted to do, and he understood. Stygerguard sailed out in the silent night. The gentle breeze made the flying easy. They flew toward King Zagerman's refuge first, as they knew where that was. When they got closer, Stygerguard turned his head and noticed that he could not see his own wings. So he thought with Princess Emnorawyn and asked how long she thought she could keep them invisible. Princess Emnorawyn thought she could for quite a while, but she would let him know before she dropped the spell. They sailed over the refuge. They could see the guards on the tops of the walls. They could see several animal people look up like they heard or sensed something. Prince Hadley whispered to Princess Emnorawyn. He thought she should release the ball near where they went in and found the plants. Princess Emnorawyn agreed, and had Stygerguard fly over the center of the refuge instead of around. She released the magical ball. They wanted to watch it, but it faded from sight as soon as it left Princess Emnorawyn's hand, and they didn't want to stay too long and chance the animal people sensing them. Stygerguard sailed east. Prince Hadley looked over his shoulder many times to make sure the animal people were not following them, and they were not. After some time, Stygerguard thought with Princess Emnorawyn to ask if she had seen any maps to show possible points for King Balbatos's refuge, but she had not. He thought to her that King Balbatos wouldn't be too far from his ally, so she should send out her magic and find his refuge or a direction. Princess of Norwind's magic returned the answer that King Balbatos's refuge was farther north. She told Stygerguard. Princess Hadley thought that made sense, since he felt they had flown east enough to be directly north of his own kingdom, Shor's kingdom. Soon they came upon the refuge, and Princess of Norway quickly used her magic for invisibility once again. The refuge was impressive, because King Balbatos had it built into the face of a mountain range. With the moonlight, they could see walk paths on stone walls, crossing in and around many parts. "I'm glad we're not coming here to destroy the source," said Prince Hadley. "There's no way we could use a battling ram here." Suddenly, Stygerguard veered away. "What is it?" asked Princess of Norway. "Those poles," thought Stygerguard. "They have a vibration or a pulsing. I don't like it." Princess of Norway looked, and she finally saw one because the metal reflected the light of the moon. "I think those are similar to what King Cronus uses to infuse lightning into his mudmen." "Will that affect your magical ball?" asked Prince Hadley. Princess of Norway shrugged to herself. "I don't think so, but I'll add instructions." She took out the ball, gave the instructions, and released it. The magical ball faded from sight and sailed toward the refuge. Princess of Norway wanted to wait until she received information that the magical ball made it in, but Stygerguard wanted to return. He thought to her that she still needed to get some rest. Princess of Norway agreed, and they headed to her refuge. Prince Hadley was glad that the young girl had gotten him. He didn't think they were in danger at any point in their trip, but it made him feel better that the two of them went together. In the morning, Prince Hadley reported on their trip. King Rhymesheard shook his head to himself. "I'm glad you went with her." Then Sizemore entered, and they updated him. He raised the book in his hands. "Well, you should be asking me about what I read." He then told them that to create the source, they had to use people that still had their air, but were willing for someone else to use their air. Sizemore read many passages to them, and then he stopped. "Just why would anyone let someone else use their air or their magic? That makes no sense to me." "I'm sure something is promised," stated King Cronte. "We saw animal people, and we know some women had something injected in them. We don't know if the kings promised them grand things, or if our enemies threatened them in any way." They sat around thinking about things. Sizemore asked King Rhymes if he could think their new knowledge to King Trufflemore, so he tried. When Princess of Norwin entered, Sizemore had her read the book. She dutifully looked at each page, then she closed her eyes to read the pages in her mind. Prince Hadley shook his head to himself. He felt he still had the plans in his head, but he didn't want anything else in his head like that again. After several minutes, King Rhymes said, "King Trufflemore agrees. We need to attack the source, and he is willing to wait up to a week for Princess of Norwin's balls to report anything they find." Princess of Norwin looked at her father. King Rhymes motioned to Prince Hadley and told her what Prince Hadley had told them. Sizemore asked her if she had learned anything yet. "It seems all three have a source, of course, that King Cronus, assuming, of course, that King Cronus does. But I think the other two are in the beginning stages of creating the collection of air or magic. I'm not sure how many people the two have to collect from." She then told them that her magic had seen the plans, and there did seem to be an agreement or a contract to collect air or magic from people. The kings would have to offer something in return. None of them knew what that meant or what their enemies would offer to the people they would use as their source, but they discussed if they would have to offer something to the people to get them to want to leave the collection or the source. King Kronte and his son flew home. They would discuss things with his wife and his prophets and advisors. King Rhymes gathered his scouts. He told them he trusted Princess Emnorawyn, but she was doing a lot. He didn't want to ask more of her. He asked them if they could go to King Zagerman's old kingdom to learn anything else they could. He wanted to know if King Zagerman was in contact with King Cronus while there, or was the contact later. The scouts agreed to go, and several dragon riders would fly them there. The dragons touched down in the courtyard of the kingdom, and no one dismounted right away. Once they felt sure that everything was still and nothing nor no one was moving, they dismounted. The other scouts told Femor that they didn't believe his descriptions, but the scene was just as he described. The scouts and several dragon riders headed into the castle and spread out. They were looking for information or journals or anything else with writing. The other dragon riders went to the top of the wall to look out. All the scouts and dragon riders had been taking magic lessons, although they weren't proficient. Still, a few dragon riders could think with others. That had been easier for them to learn since their dragons thought with them. One scout was good with changing the color of things, and as he entered the castle, he turned back and saw all the dragons. So he turned them the color of sand or dirt beneath their feet. He didn't know how long he could do the spell, but thought it was a good test. At some time, a few of the dragon riders who were lookouts pointed. They saw a lone lion man heading toward the big open gates of the kingdom. They thought with their dragons, and the dragons lifted up and flew north of the kingdom. The sand-colored dragons stood out in the grass of the field to the north. One dragon rider thought to Femor inside, so one of the scouts went to the front door of the castle and locked the door. He didn't know if there were more entrances, and he assumed there were, but they didn't want to panic just yet. The lion man walked to different dead bodies and he sniffed them. Then he stood in the center of the courtyard and let out a loud roar. But the roar didn't sound ferocious. It sounded sad. The lion man walked across the courtyard to a home. He went inside a home by jumping through an open window. No one knew what to make of the behavior. They didn't want to get too close to the lion man. The dragon riders speculated about things, and several thought with those inside. And the ones inside decided to finish searching, and they had found a few journals to bring back. But the question was how to get out and mount the dragons without the lion man learning about them. The scout that could change colors volunteered to look through the window of the house the dragon rider said the lion man went in. He was able to make himself clear like water, and he crept to the window. The rest in the castle eased out, and the dragon riders on the wall came down. They followed behind the scout, but not too closely, and they hoped they could handle the one lion man. The scout went to the window and peered in. At first he didn't see anything, but suddenly the lion man raised his head. "Who's there?" asked the lion man. The scout swallowed and glanced back to his fellow men. They weren't far. He said, "I am a scout, and we were looking for King Zagerman. Do you know where he is?" The others heard him. They eased forward and readied themselves. "King Zagerman has abandoned my mother," said the lion man. "She lays here dead. Why do I fight for him?" "I can't answer that," stated the scout. He looked over his shoulder. He knew at one point he had heard about Prince Hadley wanting to talk to the animal people. He turned back. "If your mother is dead, then shouldn't she be buried?" "I do not know," replied the lion man. "I came here to reunite with her." "Well, I suppose we will leave you to be with your mother," said the scout, and he eased away from the window and back towards the other. By the time the dragons had flown back and landed in the courtyard. By this time, the dragons had flown back and landed in the courtyard. "Wait!" came the lineman's voice as he jumped through the window. The scouts and dragon riders had their swords drawn. Now they got in stance. The lion man looked at all of them. "Why are you here?" he asked. "We are trying to get information on King Zargarman," stated the scout. He eased his sword back in his scabbard. "We are his enemies, and we are trying to fight against him. But his forces are great, and have great strength." He motioned. "You are very strong, and we cannot fight you." The others lowered their swords a little and broke stance. "I am but one," said the lion. "Would you like us to help you bury your mother?" asked the scout. Started a few more, but he stopped. "Where would we bury her?" asked the lion. The scout looked back at his group. "The great oak," suggested a dragon rider. "No, King Zargarman goes there," said the lion. No one knew where to go with the conversation from there. After several minutes, the scout told the lion man that they would leave him in peace. "You can't leave my mom," said the lion man. "If you do, then you are just like King Zargarman." Seymour sighed. He tried to think with Sizemore to see if he had any suggestions. Everyone just stood in a circle for several minutes. "Ah," said Seymour. Everyone looked at him. "Sizemore, the father of the king, says as a boy he learned that lions lived in the east. Would you like to bury your mother near real lions?" The lion man looked back toward his home. He looked at Seymour and asked, "How will I get her there?" "Sizemore is sending his granddaughter. She can place your mother in a magical ball," said Seymour. The lion man growled and shook his head. "Look, she could place you in the ball with your mother," stated Seymour quickly. "It may seem like a prison, but I assure you that it is not. I have been in one myself." "I need to see this ball before I agree to magic," said the lion man. "Magic is evil." Started the first scout to talk to the lion man, whose name was Dawson. "Magic can be evil. Right now our enemies are trying to create a source for dark magic." Lion man roared, and the men jumped back a little. "I know about this. King Zargarman threatened to throw several people who are also lion people like me in the pit. The pit will take our air until we learn to behave." "Not all magic is like that," stated Dawson. "Just as I'm sure not all science is bad." "Science is bad," growled the lion man. "Look at me. How can I live without King Zargarman unless I go to King Balbatos? I scratched my own mother when I was a young boy, and I hurt her badly." Dawson sighed. Seymour said, "It is unwise to label all magic or all science as bad. We will wait on the princess. If you agree to be in the magical ball temporarily, then we will fly you east and help you bury your mother. If you don't agree, then we will leave you, even though you accuse us of being like our enemy by doing so." Several hours passed, and Princess of Norway finally arrived. "The white dragon with pink eyes," said the lion man. "King Zargarman has his blood. He's making one." Princess of Norway smiled kindly. "We know. We've met the creation." She had the fierce thoughts in her head. "Abomination," Princess of Norway continued. "Now, how about I put my men in the bubble and then take them out for you to see?" The lion man agreed, but he wanted to sniff them first. Dawson agreed to let the lion man sniff him. The lion man sniffed him again when he came out. Then he showed Princess of Norway where his home was. He laid beside his dead, decomposing mother for Princess of Norway to enclose in her ball. When she had them enclosed, they all mounted and sailed east. They also flew a little south because Sizemore didn't think the lions were that far north. They landed on the plains in the far east, and they all dismounted. None of them had shovels, but Sizemore had searched for spells as they flew. Princess of Norway let the lion man and the body of his mother out of the ball. "Is this area suitable to you?" The lion man walked around on all fours and sniffed the ground. He found a place and he pawed the ground a few times. "Here is where I want my mother." The dragon riders and scouts tried the spell, and the ground started rising up and forming a hole in the ground. Princess Emnorawyn magically lifted the body and placed it in the hole. Then she pulled a flower out from behind her ear. I'm not sure your customs, but we usually place a flower in or on the grave. She held out the flower to the Lion Man. He raised up on his hind legs and clasped the flower. He saw the princess wince, and he saw blood on her hand. I'm sorry. I was not trying to hurt you, but this body curses me. Once home, someone will mend my hand, replied the princess. The Lion Man dropped the flower on the corpse of his mother, and then he started pushing the mound of dirt in the hole. Once he finished, Princess Emnorawyn asked, What will you do? Lion Man looked around. I think I will try to live around here. Do you think that any others like you would also want to come here? Asked Princess Emnorawyn. I don't know, replied the Lion Man. Thank you for your help. He turned and took off running across the plain. The group mounted their dragons and flew back to the refuge. They would give the journals to the advisors and prophets to read. Princess Emnorawyn thought with Prince Hadley on the way to the refuge. She thought to him about what had occurred. Prince Hadley was glad they were able to help at least one of the animal people, and he knew from all the descriptions that the Lion Man and his mother had been peasants, and he didn't feel like they had volunteered for the kings to use them in that way. Okay, writers, that is the end of chapter 31. Leave a comment on if you were Stolson. Would you have volunteered to go look in the window where the Lion Man was? And you have no words from him at this point. He's just gone into his house. No idea why. So would you have been brave enough to go look to see if you could see the lion? Leave a comment on if you would have helped the Lion Man bury his mother. Leave a comment on if you were the Lion Man. Now this is the other side. This is the other perspective. Okay, if you were the Lion Man, would you have trusted the strangers to put you in a magic ball and bring you to a strange land, especially after all King Zagerman had put you through? Remember earlier this, I don't know if it was this week or last week, we talked about the past. If you had a past that made you more susceptible to do bad things or whatever. If you had a sympathetic past or a non-sympathetic past, I think those were the terms. So, as far as we know, the Lion Man has not had a sympathetic past. From the description, he and his mom were peasants. They were used. They were despised. And his mom was injected with this stuff, whether she agreed or didn't agree, whatever. She had this stuff injected. Then King Zagerman has been training you up to fight. You don't know why and stuff. So you have a very sympathetic past as the Lion Man. If you're thinking like you're the Lion Man, you have a very sympathetic past. And, your mother, who you trusted, is dead because King Zagerman left her. And you don't trust King Zagerman, who is like your whole life, training you to be a soldier, sending you to fight, making other creatures like you, threatening you to throw you in a pit when you don't obey, and all this. This is what you know. This main person in your life, King Zagerman, is not somebody you can trust. So, with that mindset, this is how writers get into the mindset of characters. Leave a comment on if you were the Lion Man, if you were the character of the Lion Man, would you have trusted the strangers to put you in a magic ball and bring you to a strange land? After all, King Zagerman put you and your mother through. Would you have any trust in you at all left? And any trust left? And would you trust to be put into a ball, which is kind of like a prison? Because if you don't have the magic to get out, you're just there. You're at the other person's will and control. Or leave that comment. I would be happy to read all those comments. So what your perspective is on that. Join me Tuesday for some jargon and part 32 of Your Cave. We just read chapter 31 of this, so we'll be reading 32 and 32 next week. 32 of the cave, 32 of the thing, 32 of Princess Emnorawyn and Stygerguard on Friday. So, visit my website by McKella and read some character bios. If you read some, then leave a comment on which ones you have read. You can send me your character bios too. If you have developed a character for one of your stories, you can send me the character bio. That would be great. Get to know your character, even if I haven't read your story yet. All your comments will help us start conversations and build our community. Keep all comments respectful. Remember, someone else's perspective can help you with your writing. Someone else's perspective can help you put the lion man in your story. Right? And so far in the story, everybody's been so scared of the lion people, and they just claw them, they just bite their heads off, they just devour them. But now, this other perspective, we see the lion man in his struggles. And we see the story from his point of view. We see his story as having a sympathetic past. So, that's what your comments do. Your comments give us something to think about. Now we don't hate all the lion people automatically. Now we have to think about it. And we can start a conversation. I can tell you how I think. You can tell me how you think. We can start our conversations. We can build our community. And if we keep them respectful, the comments will keep coming. And the comments will help us with our writing. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell so we can continue to write together, and other people will have a higher chance of finding this video and this channel, since your likes will push the video out to a greater audience. Thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate your participation. If you know someone who would like this video, please share it with them. This is McKella with Write with McKella. Bye for now.